Early November 2023 with the Lovelocks in Sunninghill. Rough cut photo trails. As I've said many times, they will be rough cuts. I'll start with a standard introduction. And here's where we live, 22 Armitage Court in Sunninghill. Warning signs about fierce guard cats. This spot I know as Robin's Corner, where we tested GPS from the late 1980s onwards, just here. And there's the bit of garden sculpture that June got Robin for a birthday present. And what's coming up at the moment is a stinkhorn. I think the proper Latin term is Phallus impudicus, but I'll let you translate that. Anyhow, here's the oak tree that sprung up from an acorn, and down the front drive, yeah, you often get various garden projects that we made good progress on last year, like the forts with armed mice for the guard cats, and yeah, a lot of this material people have seen before, but of course it's a snapshot as on 9th of November when I'm putting this clip together. Come down to our front porch here. Peanuts left for the foxes. Warning signs, that will be important in a moment. The camper that was used to take Snoopy's robot boat, you'll see him in a moment, down to the coast. And there's the battle damage. June said Robin did it. Robin said the wall did it, but the wall is okay. Now, I now have to go through the health and safety warnings. Yes, there have been notices here for years warning about cameras, not particularly hidden. And the important thing is the water squirters, and you have to read the small print. There, I've done the health and safety, so we're going to the house. And this will be a lightning tour because, try not to be too loud here, this is where Samantha is working from home, but the main activity is we're hoping to make progress in clearing all of this stuff. And we've got a strategy for it, which is basically to clear it out into prepared stuff in the garden so that we can get not only have dinners and things here, but have the snooker table back. And yes, so the robot boat has been brought in here where it gets more sun, and when I get the odd few minutes, we make a bit more progress on getting it ready for the next transatlantic attempt. So it's coming along, but slowly, because won't make excuses. There was a time when you could get other people to do all the work, like testing something before you put it in, or see if Robin's done sloppy soldering. Anyhow, you get a good feeling for what a mess the place is, and quite a lot of the bits are tucked away in boxes. And whereas, yeah, this was completely different 20 or 30 years ago. Now, yeah, there's a kitchen. That's made good progress. Getting the right guy to do the plastering. Years ago we got the skylights put in, and the latest job we want is mirrors to go inside here so you can actually see the trees and wildlife and things. Anyhow, that's enough of the kitchen. Oh yes, June has got a request for quote in process for the whole kitchen to be changed. That's been planned for years. Now into my so-called study. Yes, very untidy, and right now it's processing the video for yesterday, which will be one of the clips. This will be a long video, and we're now going into the lounge. And yes, in slower time this will also get tidied up. What we have on the screen at the moment is from a tracker, a bit like this, from June. Lots of trackers everywhere, and it confirms she's still at the supermarket. And yeah, this is Robin's naughty corner, where you'll see that on the photo trails, where I typically watch the closed circuit TV, not so much live, but over the previous night, for foxes and badgers and hedgehogs and whatever wildlife. We have had deer in the past. So rather than go out through that door, which is one route out into the garden, because I'm going to get, oh, careful what you trip over, I'm going to basically show where we're planning this stuff to go, and it might be days rather than weeks, months, or not at all, which has been the case. And slight distraction there, something very recent, came from Pub Grub, was, I don't know if you know, that the screw was invented 400 years BC by a clever Greek. I think he was known as the father of mechanics. But mechanics come into it because I have a bet on with Richard that a cotton reel will roll down if the cotton goes at the bottom, and that came up. Yeah, did it. Now of course they'll say, ah, that's plastic, and that's nylon or something. So slower time test. Bit of a distraction, but that's what life can often be. So we're out through this door, and we'll wrap up the introduction here. But I'm now walking down the garden. Yes, telescope. Nothing has been done on for years. But the reason I'm going down here is what we started several years ago, but the difference is it's Juniper South doing it now, is creating places that we can put tools. This is just one example, and June rightly pointed out yesterday that we needed some sort of roof, that's it, ready to go up, so that tools here won't get the rain that's blowing onto it or dripping down. And that's a simple, something similar to that, but there with a cutout there. Easy job, got the material for it, so that was the progress up till yesterday. And while you get a chance, all of this I hope will get tidied up. That's the laboratory, yes, relevant electronics, solder, etc. It's all a matter of priorities, and the priority at the moment is to make sure we got the space, and we made a bit of progress there. So for example, all the saws we can find we're put in there. Yes, they will be thrown away, but we're not throwing away the good ones, and we might give to somebody. I mean, somebody with the right skills could sharpen up stuff anyhow rather than just throw it. Alright, so this is where I made a lot of progress last year, mostly particularly with Paul, and yeah, a couple of doors, roof, workshop as I call it, even though it's just plastic. And this is where we're going to start putting the tools, but we got to actually do it. Yes, cobwebs and spiders will be in the way, so it's a matter of putting the things there. Very simple process, but first of all, things like that need more space, so that's why we've started that literally in the last few days. It'll be on the photo trails. So getting close, you'll be glad to know too, running into those photo trails which you can skip through to peruse content or pause or look closely at something and think, oh crikey, that's me, or yes, I'll read that. Now what I will say is at the very end of these long photo trails for what it'll be 9 days, I guess, beginning of November on, and we've got Armistice Day coming up, yes, and Remembrance Sunday. At the end I put something which was filmed and still applies Oh, when was it? Back in July, I think. And what it is a minute or two talking about global warming and the prophetic words of James Lovelock, and in short, it's going to happen and you haven't seen anything yet. And the other, some will find it amusing, which is the saga of my driving licence. No, I still have not received my driving licence from the DVLA, and regardless of the outcome of that, then, as I say, I don't want anybody to get in trouble. It's too easy to resign or whatever, but problems need to be fixed. That's enough of me talking, which I do too much of anyhow. So into those long photo trails. Wednesday the 1st of November 2023. 8.5 minutes of photo trail, including this 1.5 minute summary at the start. Yes, use of the trackers, use of the weather radars to see where there are gaps. Pub lunch with grumpy old friends, and that was lovely at the Duke of Edinburgh Woodside. Then coming back into Sunninghill, coffee round at Richard and Faye's, their Pussycat. Processing of the video done by then. Visit by Bal. And yeah, June points out something on the closed circuit TV. Yeah, the Halloween stuff was obscuring the camera. I listened to the Radio 4 News, put the peanuts out, and yeah, getting towards the back end of the day. Yeah, the Badger comes, that was live. Fox comes, and some of these things are me checking on the closed circuit TV when things happened overnight. And yeah, the YouTube videos there. Oh yes, that's the trick-or-treaters. That was from the previous night. And yeah, looking at the rain radar. And so June's watching that boring stuff on the telly. So yeah, time to go up. So that's the end of the summary. So now into the photo trail. Yeah, June noticed one of the Halloween things was needed switching off, I think. They're off for tennis. I checked the trackers, and yeah, that one's working, showing them both the tennis courts. And processing of the video, which is for the end of October. That's going to take some time to process. And the rain's coming on. Yes, as predicted by the rain radar, but I only looked at it after they came back early from their tennis, which had been cut short by the rain. So they're back into the house. Yes, the trackers catch up. Yes, there's the predictions of the rain, so that shows yes, the rain did come on when it said. And yes, of course, there's a difference between the forecast and the actual observed data, but one can get the best results by perhaps checking two sites. Now, what's that? Oh yes, a delivery, but yeah, it was nothing special. So that's where we're going, the Duke of Edinburgh Woodside, and Stuart's driving, because Robin still doesn't have his driving licence. And yeah, past a few landmarks in the village and the school. Could see an event that's coming up 19th of November, past the Courts Hall, past in Cranbourne, that was, I think, at the Duke of Edinburgh. Look at the menu. Yeah, so we order what we're having. Yeah, Richard got something interesting out, which was basically the origins of the microwave oven. And so we're all having something different, but nice meal. So it gives you a flavour of what we're... Well, this is not Taste-O-Vision, unfortunately. Anyhow, yeah, so then we leave the Duke of Edinburgh, having a nice meal of compensation, back through Sunninghill, the Courts Hall, bright sun. That's where it's been decided we'll stop for coffee. I pop in to check things like emails that have come in and anything. Oh yes, I had a quick look at the interesting video that Terry had sent through, and not to play the video, but I saw the summary, and a very important summary. Basically, climate change is going to happen. It's just part of the natural cycle. Yeah, there's the holly berries, and I suppose the birds will be taking those. So back home after coffee and cake, and yeah, just check the tracker, see whether it showed what we'd been doing, and yeah, shows that I'm at home, and so that's correct. And that's where we'd gone today, or at least where my tracker had gone today, including at the Duke of Edinburgh. So anybody interested could say, oh, where have they gone for pub grub today? And yeah, there's all the mess that will get tidied up sometime with the right help. Right, that means the processing is completed, which takes hours for the end of October video. So then I set it off going up onto YouTube. I think I've got that commentary right. Visit by Belle. She's got a diary that June gave her with a doggy on it like Romeo. Yes, so there's the removing the obstruction. All that stuff, of course, got to be put back in the right place, which is back in the summer house in the back garden. But the YouTube video looks as though it's practically available now. Yes, it was. It's just waiting for the subtitles to become available, and they were several hours later. Listening to the Radio 4 news, which of course was sad news from places like Gaza. And yeah, looks like June has rustled up dinner, which I take into the lounge and into Robin's naughty corner. June comes in so she can watch television, and yeah, so I'm sitting there looking at the close-seat TV while he's in, and I say, oh, look, I forgot to put out the peanuts. So go out and drop the peanuts in the usual places. Yeah, see the garden lights coming on, the same type that is going on the robot boat, or is already on the robot boat. Yes, those Halloween decorations have got to be put away. Yes, all the stuff that has to be put in the right places. And so back there, yeah, there's a badger, but it's live. He's out the other side of that patio door on the top bridge. And then I'm carrying on checking what happened overnight, both after midnight on the same day and the night before, and also what time the cameras switch from colour to night mode, black and white. So that's useful to know. Oh yes, just a reminder that we had 3 lots of trick-or-treaters that night before, and of course the usual visitors, at least 2 different foxes, one quite noticeable from the white tip on his tail. And when I got back from the Comrades Club, that had made one of the foxes run off, but of course he came back sooner or later. So June's watching the as I check, the subtitles are now available after whatever it was, a couple of hours. Looking at the rain radar, now a bit too wet to walk down to the Comrades Club, so it was going to come on heavy. So I thought, no, I won't do that. Not a good idea. Nah. Yeah, so June watches that, and I'm thinking, yeah, that's boring. Time to go up. So that's the end of the photo trail. Saturday, the 4th of November 2023, 3-minute summary of what happened in 90 minutes of photo trail. And yes, we took a trip to see the orchids at Raisbury, but a load of other things happened, including a visit opposite. Yes, decided to do a bit of cleaning up on the front of our house, aided by the pressure washer, and it's all a matter of where things went. Yes, that was a nice trip to Rosebery, and on the way back we thought, oh, I'll check into home base and pick up the right spanners for the job on the boat, but also useful. Popped into Longacres, and yeah, looking around there, got some stuff for Romeo, the doggy in the village, but also found that. Thought very suitable present. I should have bought two, have one for myself. And yeah, so that work was a little bit more progress on the boat, tightening up a bolt and doing a bit of soldering, and time to put the peanuts out. So there's the peanuts going there. So time to deliver that. Anybody looking at where I was would say, oh, there's Robin visiting the front door. Don't know why, of course. Yeah, time to have dinner. Look at the closed circuit TV. June comes in. Oh, it's the family WhatsApp video chat. Yes, so that was an interruption, and chatted to family. Toadie joined, of course. I go back to the closed circuit TV, look at the foxes and the badger coming, including the badger came out quite nicely on the other camera. There he is on the end of the top bridge just outside, and there's the fox coming to the front door. And yeah, June's now watching tennis. So I checked the rain radar thinking, if I take a trip down into the village, can I choose a gap in the showers? I thought, play safe and wear something suitable in case it rains. In fact, I was quite lucky on that front. So down into the village, into the Comrades Club. Yeah, enjoy the glass of wine there. And I noticed that what I'd left there the day before had gone. I expected it to turn up in slow time. And yeah, enjoyed the atmosphere there. Noticed I had a problem with which I hadn't had before, with the access to the net, which could have been my phone, and of course easily found out, see whether, for example, June's phone works on it. And yeah, so time to leave the Comrades Club, and those pictures from there, that's the end of the summary. Now we go into the picture. There are more pictures at the very end. So first thing, I'm checking on one of the trackers, because I thought that they were at tennis or had gone somewhere else. So I'm checking, and in fact, because of the rain, they'd gone to Bracknell. I was a bit confused at first because I hadn't looked on the wider map picture. So I spoke to Samantha and said, oh no, they are in Bracknell. Anyhow, they get back. Stupid Robin. And yeah, I'm processing the video from the day before, this sort of video. The photo trails I find useful as an aid to my memory, and also very useful in terms of sharing with anybody, including friends overseas. But yeah, so this shows the track anybody could see of them on their way back. So yeah, coming along and down from the middle of Ascot. Had trouble with that camera, not sure what it was, might have run out of power or something. Seems to be okay now though. And yeah, they're back, and so we're just thinking what we're going to do next. Yeah, that was on June's fridge and caused some amusement. It was taking stuff from my website apparently. Anyhow, not to worry. So Toadie's there, looks like a sort of brunch. Yeah, a bit more work on the video, putting a commentary on it, a bit like this commentary going on, but that was for the 3rd of November. And then looking at that drain and thinking, if we manage to get the pressure washer out, maybe it will be a way of cleaning it. I don't think that's the method I used last time, because that mud goes right the way deep down into the drain. But we thought it was worth a try, and it had some spin-offs, because rather than use the brush we could use that to wash the muddy water away. And of course also used it as a way of clearing the drive a bit, and all a matter of where things went. Yeah, so now I was putting on the other type of hose that you feed down, but we didn't have much joy. I tried other things to push down there. It's going several years since I last cleared it out well enough for it to work. All a matter of putting things back in the place where at least June remembers where they are. And of course that is the big picture of wanting to get everything put away in the right place. Obviously throw away the stuff we don't need. Right, then use that to clean up things a bit. Very, very quick and easy process. So basically wash stuff away. That worked pretty well. Oh yeah, got my hands a bit muddy. So yes, clean those. And yeah, what's next? Yeah, it all comes down to putting things back in the right place. So the brush has gone in the garage, so has the pressure washer, simply because that's where June remembered where it was. And yeah, so that hasn't fixed that problem, but I can use it to wash other places. And what are we doing now? Front, yeah, at the front of the house. Oh yes, visitors across the road. Yes, gave them a card and things. Interesting guy. Yeah, there's a glimpse on the closed circuit TV, guy and his son. And yeah, what else? Oh yes, I swung past nearby there. It was an interesting exercise in finding out what information is easily found, and it was coincidences of well, of course. So then the total journey was up to Raysbury for the orchid show, and yeah, just that was what we were intending to do. And yeah, so we're off. Yeah, June's driving because Robin still hasn't got his driving license. And yeah, and we decided to swing past Sunningdale, right on the edge of Sunninghill. So first of all, past a few landmarks in Sunninghill, and then into Sunningdale, and that's where June parked the car. I had a roam around and spoke to one or two interesting guys, and yeah, there were some coincidences where Dave Dean, who passed away recently, lived. So yeah, took those pictures, and then we're off to Raysbury for the lovely event. And I think it's a year ago since we last went there. It's in the village hall near the windmill, and timing was good because although there was some rain, there was a lovely rainbow. So I grabbed the opportunity and took a few. Got a bit wet, but it's a lovely patch. So took the opportunity to take several pictures, including of where the event was, which is in the village hall. And so then we go in for that, and yes, look round at the orchids, and I get a chance to have a word to one or two people, and it's an interesting place. I remember last visit in terms of everything about it. So plenty of orchids to see, and yes, that was one she did buy. Doesn't mean anything to me. I managed to grab a cup of coffee and cake, and June still was going around looking at those, but then I went round and thought, well, okay, they'd had a prize giving earlier, and so when I went round, it was after that was over, and so I was able to take pictures for anybody who's into that sort of thing. And yeah, and then June saying, right, well, there's the rain radar, and it's not too bad, but more importantly, we could swing past places like Home Base. And so in the car park, it was lovely. Met an Italian guy from Bologna. We had a bit of fun chatting Italian. including introducing into June. So then we're making our way to Staines, I think this is, in order to go into home base. And we didn't actually get what we wanted there. Or did we? Yes, we did. I got some spanners. Yes, and those were useful to have anyhow. A complete set of spanners, including the size we needed. And then June needed to top up with fuel, and that was all part of the cunning plan. And yeah, so June tops up with fuel, and she said she was thinking of going there because the pricing was good. And yeah, phone call there. Oh yes, I got a phone call from a guy, by coincidence, the same name as the chap over at Sunninghill. But yeah, we'll see what happens with that. It's a slower time. So now, where are we off to next? Well, it's along the A30 into Longacres, and of course June was going to get something in there anyhow, and I was. However, I used the chance to grab a ice cream, and yes, that's some meat or chewing things. Oh yes, I got that. That of course was for Romeo. There's my ice cream, and I finished most of it before we set off back home. And so we're on our way back. Yes, so we've got a present for Romeo, the dog in the village, and also for my neighbour. And yes, it's a late birthday present. He knows who he is, and so do several other people who might be watching this. And what am I doing now? Oh yes, the spanners. So put them in the right place, because that is for a bit more work on the robot boat. Tighten up that bolt. Yeah, and it's the right size, matching the bolt. You need two spanners, one side and one the other side, to tighten it up. So I was able to do that, and then check the voltages, and sure enough, the voltages can be seen on the monitor points on the outside. So it's a step along the way. Soldering iron needed, because there was at least one soldered joint I found it needed doing, but the soldering iron needed a bit of a flat on it. It was the pointed one, which really wasn't ideal for that sort of job. I very rarely need a soldering iron with a small point on it. And yeah, so did a bit of soldering there. Still a load more been done. Of course, nobody checking my work. But he says, oh yes, put these back in the right place. Now the right place for these is probably back in the garden, in the so-called workshop, and for the moment I've just stuck them at the end there. That's the sort of thing that should be hung up so that can't be any missed. Now time to put the peanuts out. So peanuts go on the top bridge, which is just outside, and also on the bottom bridge, and out on the front porch, and on the road. And so that's the peanuts out, and put oh yes, delivery of a birthday present. Now all I say is neighbour, but anybody looking at the tracker, which is on the contact page, would say, okay, that's where Robin's been today, and including various places: Sunninghill, Rosebery, the time around in Rosebery, the time to various places like the petrol at Sainsbury's, Longacres. Yeah, a lot of scatter around home, and he goes to that front door. I wonder why. And yes, there we go. Delivering the present. And like checking the spot tracker, same thing, public information. It's the type of SATCOMS tracker that's going in the boat, but it said the battery was low on one of them, so it's good. It's still giving positions, but giving you a warning that the battery's low. And so that's something which is all part of the testing, certainly before it goes into the boat. Toadie decides to join me, and meanwhile, what's happening? Oh yes, June's rustled up food. Dinner, that is. Paella, rather like that. So I take it into the lounge and into Robin's naughty corner, so I can eat that while watching the closed circuit TV. And in fact, June joins because we have the WhatsApp video chat, so that's an interruption what I was doing, chatting to family. And so yeah, Toadie decides to join us because Michelle likes chatting to Toadie. Yeah, carry on with my notes about what happened overnight. Visit of the fox to the top bridge just outside our rear patio door, and the badger. And also another camera picks up quite well things that are on that end of the top bridge. And of course on the front porch there's the fox coming. He's sort of a bit wary looking around. And yeah, what are you looking at me for? Yeah. And so then I probably also check what time the cameras switch between night mode and colour mode. Oh, that was on the check from midnight onward, and now we're looking at the what happens before midnight on the previous day and back to then at least. So that's those notes. And what June's doing, she's watching something, tennis. So yes, that's what she's watching. And I look at the weather, since a gap in the rain might mean I can just have a walk down to the Comrades Club. So I check the various sources, and the usual thing is there's 2 websites there, and of course you can use them in different ways. So definitely it looks as though rain is coming through. A reply to Stuart. And yeah, so I thought I'd be sensible for once and wear something, so if it does belt down with rain, like if I'm late getting away from the Comrades Club, I'll be okay. And as it happens, I hardly needed that raincoat. So down to the Comrades Club. Yeah, the road's wet, but it wasn't too bad. Into the Comrades Club. And yes, that notice board, what I'd left there the day before is gone. Yes, maybe in slower time we'll find out what happens. It did very clearly say on it, please contact me to sort of give it back, but we'll see. Anyhow, I enjoyed the time there, and in terms of, yes, different things on their televisions and the music, and of course most important, the people. Yes, my phone was not working with the Wi-Fi, even though it has done in the past, the same phone. So it could be the problem with the phone, yes, or it could be, I think it would be the phone, but anyhow, easily checked out just by going in there with a different phone. And yeah, so leaving the Comrades Club, and yeah, on my way home, and this bit was missing from the summary, and so getting back, and yes, Toadie there to greet me, and shutting down the computer, and time to go up. So that's the end of the photo trail. Friday the 3rd of November 2023, 15-minute photo trail, including this 2-minute summary at the front. Yes, usual trip to tennis by the women, and yeah, Toadie, and yes, the robot boat. Didn't do a lot of work, but at least I identified I just needed to tighten up a bolt before completing the wiring. And where do I find a second spanner? I found out I needed 2 spanners. So obviously a lot of these things are going on at the same time. Managed to update the roof page with a credit to the options guys, including Jotty. Yeah, Rainbow came out, made a bit of progress on clearing the gutter with the right tool by June. Nice sunset, and yes, all that stuff that needs to be put in the right place. Yeah, peanuts out, preparing something to go up on the notice board at the Comrades Club. And yeah, there's the badger arriving, and there's the fox for the peanuts, and June's watching Angel, I think it was. So, right, I'm going down to the village, stretch my legs into the Comrades Club, have my glass of wine, and also I'll put up something that can easily be taken down to be read and put back, and then of course eventually taken away. And I think I wrote the necessary stuff on the front, and it was about the late Dave Dean. And yes, made my way back. That was after watching a bit of wrestling that caused me amusement. And yeah, June's watching the telly with Toadie, and I just check out, yes, the tracker that I was wearing shows. So that's the end of the summary. Now into the photo trail. So yes, the women are off to tennis with the white pensioner tracker in June's handbag, and despite that being in the car, it seems to work quite well. And yeah, there's the Spot T2 tracker, and there's the Spot T tracker, both the same type of Satcom's trackers for going in the robot boat. Yes, I'm sure you've seen that before. And just pointing out various things to be tidied up. Yes, like that drain needs to be unblocked. All a matter of using the right tools for the job. And the gutter is blocked with leaves. And so again, matter of using the right tools, but most of that is just getting up on a ladder and clearing the leaves out of the gutter. So I'm using this as a tour here on where things are, and what I'm doing there, checking that they're at tennis. Yes, the tracker works correctly, and then the other tracker, and then that tracker. So all the trackers seem to be working, I think. And Toadie joined me. Right, now the boat, and I made a good bit of progress in seeing that the problem with the connection was simply tightening up of a bolt, but I needed to get a second spanner. So that spanner enabled me to tighten up the bolt, and got to get a good connection there. And then use a bit of soldering, but that's the first step before doing all the soldering of the other batteries for power, and of course then to get the electronics in there. So now this is a tour looking for a second spanner of the same sort of size. It might be a very small ring spanner or any sort of spanner that I can get in there, or even a pair of pliers might do it. So I'm going through now the so-called laboratory, looking through the drawers, and it flags up of course that the drawers need to be properly labelled, probably with pictures rather than just text, so anybody looking for something would find it. Certainly not relying excuse me, on the member of the family, including myself, knowing where something was. No way they would remember that anyhow. And yeah, so I'm still going around the house looking for where that smaller spanner might be. And yeah, lots of leaves to be cleared up, but that is minor. Yes, and the water is overflowing, so I turn that tap off, which is the hose used for testing the gutters. And now looking into the garage, again almost certainly looking for the same thing, and in the process one shows all the work that needs to be done to tidy up. That is probably, even if somebody was coming in full time, let's just say one person full time, at least as half the time is probably deciding where something's going to go, and then there is the preparation of it, whatever it is, labelling a drawer in a cupboard or putting up something to hang things on. Right, now I'm checking other things, because all these things are going on at the same time. That tracker's working, yes, and my tracker, yeah, anybody can see where I am, yes, of home of course, so that's okay, that's working. I'm just here. Looks like the women are back from tennis, And yes, they were there at the Royal Ascot Tennis Club, and the tracker was on June's handbag. So June's got back home, and in fact, yes, I managed to put some extra pictures up on the roof page, giving some credit to Options Studio, the bathroom guys, and Jotty. And yeah, there's Bentley from opposite, the senior guard cat, and there's a rainbow. So I took the opportunity to take several pictures of the rainbow. Seen that from the front, barely see it from the back, but then again it was probably fading away. And yes, Bentley's had his food, so he's off prowling around. I'm turning the water probably back off or on, I don't know. Must have been off because I was about to clear leaves, and there was one little spot where it was blocked just round the corner, as it turned out. I improvised with a stick but didn't have the right tool for the job. So June came out and she managed to find the tool, and it was hidden away in the garage. I wouldn't have known where to look. So of course in no time I didn't have to reach very far, no more than a foot or so. Cleared that. Then I was able to run the tap, and June tidied up the Christmas lights that were dangling down. So then, getting late in the day, a lovely sunset, and I look at the rain radar, two websites there, and yeah, the obvious difference between observation and forecast, but basically very useful. So listening to the Radio 4 news, yes, that obviously includes sad news from Israel, Palestine and Gaza. And yeah, time to put the peanuts out. So put the peanuts out on the top bridge across the top pond, just outside the patio window, and then go down the garden. It's obviously getting dark, but the light comes on. There's a light there, and that's looking up from the bottom bridge. Make my way back. Again, a lot of these things are testing the camera. Generally, if it's held steady, the pictures in low light come out quite well. And yeah, that's peanuts on the front porch. There's the peanuts out on the road, and making my way back into the house. Yes, put the peanuts back where they belong. Since we don't have a better solution, at least I know where they are. And yeah, got a long phone call from Paul. That was good to hear from him. He we made a load of progress last year, and then preparing a handout that people can take away, but because it's a clothes peg clipping it, that's to go down to the Comrades Club. But first I'm going to have my dinner. So I go into the lounge and into Robin's naughty corner, where I can watch the closed circuit TV. Oh, Toadie's decided to come across and lick the empty plate. Checking the rain radars, and yeah, it looks as though it's going to be dry, which won't affect me taking a walk down to the village. And yeah, checking the closed circuit TV, mostly over the previous day and starting with the after midnight on the same day. And there's the badger finishing off the peanuts pretty well on the top bridge behind, and there's the fox coming for the peanuts. There's about 3 foxes coming around at the moment, and yeah, there's the fox on the top bridge. That's the time that it switches to colour mode, 6:41 in the morning. And now probably looking at the before midnight the previous day as the fox, and you see lots of peanuts there, the time that was. And 16:48 is where the camera's switched to black and white mode. And yeah, June's watching Angel, I think it is. Boring for me anyhow, so I can afford to go down to the Comrades Club. So yeah, I'm off down to the Comrades Club,
armed with that printout of the Jack Ponsford page, which had, I think, half a dozen pages that had pictures of the late Dave Dean, and that's one of the reasons that prompted me to say some people might be interested in that page. There's loads of other stuff there relating to Sunninghill and everything else, but never mind. Yes, having my glass of wine. There's the notice board behind me. There is it. Anybody could unclip the document, and I think I've made it clear on the front. Rather than just throw it away, I'd like it back, please. But it's up to whoever. Watched the wrestling. That did cause me some amusement. And yeah, made my way back. And back home. Yes, the porch is a bit different now, a bit tidier than it was. And there's Toadie also relaxing. And then live outside the patio, there it is on closed circuit TV live, is a fox. And it's early in the evening, so, or relatively, so there's loads of peanuts still. And yeah, they're looking on my tracker, and anybody can check that. And yes, it showed my route up to the Comrades Club and back. Time to shut down the PCs and go up. That's the end of the photo trail. Sunday the 5th of November 2023, about 16 minutes of photos, including this 2-minute selection as a brief summary at the front. Yes, a major activity was identifying that we do need to tidy up that room, and that was partly prompted by my visit to the Sunninghill Comrades Club and playing snooker and digging out the old snooker cues, and I thought, yeah, we used to use that as a games room. And that was Jack's cue. Very fuzzy picture, but we've got better pictures somewhere. So yes, at the back end of the evening, had a bit of fun playing snooker with the lads from across the road, and lasses, of course. And yes, so that was a reminder of another motivation on Robin to get the assistance for clearing up the games room. And so yeah, putting out the peanuts. Oh yes, visit to the bandsaws, and yeah, that's all part of the photo trail. Yeah, the foxes coming for the peanuts, both on the front porch, and also yes, the badger as well on the top ridge on the back garden, just outside the patio window of the lounge. And Toadie then annoying me as I was about to shut down the computer. And so that's the end of the summary. So now into the photo trail itself. Yeah, so glance of the lounge and the garden, and yeah, shutting down. No, not shutting down. That was processing video from the day before. And yeah, a bit more progress on the robot boat, which was basically soldering, and only a little bit of progress, but lots interrupted by various things like June's plants in the way. Now, trying to find a replacement of the rubber seal, and that was the wrong size box. So I thought, I have got the spare boxes when I ordered them in case they were needed, and I did use a lid in the laboratory. So I thought, even if I know, yeah, I'll take that box. Passed a few things in the garden, just haven't had a chance to do anything on it. Flowers are still nicely in bloom. So that's the same size box, so the rubber seal should be identical. So the problem, first of all, is how do you get that rubber seal out? And the answer is not easy. I was breaking it already, but I found the right tool, which was a very small screwdriver, and that was very unsuitable, that tool. But yeah, so I could very carefully get the rubber out, but I still managed to break it. But at least the length is correct, and I've done the best I can with the materials I've got. I don't know how long those products have been hanging around. So yes, a bit annoying when you break brakes. Other things going on at the same time, like processing of the video the day before, June cleaning the step, rainbow appearing, she alerts me to. And yeah, processing of the video from the day before. Yeah, that was the 4th, and yeah, a bit more work there, and looks as I'm in the process of taking the old one out and now probably putting the new one in, but it was longer than I expected. Wasn't sure why that was, but anyhow, it was sorted. Of course, yeah, a bit annoying when you make mistakes and things, but let me just see where we are now. Oh yes, scissors. Yeah, so I had to snip a little bit off. So put the scissors back in the right place, and then the spares, which are basically the outer part of the box, which I'm not using because that I'm using the old one that's still on the boat, which seemed to be perfectly alright. It was only the lid I changed and the rubber seal. Not sure whether the rubber seal is going to be good enough, but I hope it is. And I was thinking our solution might be to use some other stuff. There's a view of the kitchen because June's rustled up some lunch, Robin's favourite. There's where we want the mirrors put in on those skylights. So I'm taking my lunch through into the naughty corner. Sometimes things happen during the day. Yeah, and then I noticed those video cameras, most work, but one that's out covering that patch at the front, look at the mess it's in. So I switched the closed circuit TV box. Instead of just showing 4 cameras, it's the normal 8, because we have got 8 cameras, just a question of spending a little bit of time to get them all working again, or replacing a camera, but haven't usually had to do that. We made a bit of progress in labelling what channels are what on the box, but it's not something which is a 5-minute job to identify what has got to change, whether it's a connection, the cable that's got a break in it, or the camera. It takes time. So what we're doing there, got a torch. Oh yeah, June's pointing out a rainbow. Not as dramatic as the ones we've seen the day before when we went over to Rosebery, but again, every time, yeah, looking at the layout, put it back to a 4 camera layout. That's might as well do. Yeah, that's a phone call with Paul, I like it. And what are we doing there? Oh yeah, June's got that orchid. She's got to decide where she's going to put that. Soldering iron. Yeah, so identified where I needed some more Xena diodes to replace ones that were in a very bad state. I basically got duplicated Xena diodes. And that's the old stuff. And the tape was a means of basically putting in some protection around the soldering where I soldered a wire. And yeah, so that result I think is not too bad. Now checking voltages, and yeah, it looks okay, but I think I've still got to tighten up that central bolt there in order that can be used as a monitor point. And of course I've got the right tools now. We bought some other spanners the day before, so you need a spanner on each side in order to tighten the bolt, and then there was enough contact made. Now ideally I think a bit of solder as well, but even after doing a rough job I didn't get the bolt hot enough. It's a brass bolt, so all I got is loads of blobs of solder. So that's left for the moment, and maybe in slower time it's a question of doing a bounce and braces on things. And of course that's only used for monitoring of the voltage from the outside. It's not as if it's fundamental to it working. So put the spanners back in the right place, and the right place for the moment is that spot in the workshop. Put the peanuts out on the top bridge, and yeah, top them up because we'd run low, so I've got a big bag. There's putting them out on the road. Here a camera. June says, right, well she's going to put those, whatever she calls them, choppers or whatever, back into her greenhouse. She says that's the right place for it, not where I would have thought, which was down with their other garden stuff. But anyhow, that's what she decides. So, looks like carrying on with doing a bit more work, putting peanuts down on the bottom bridge, down the end of the garden. Loads of outstanding work, but it's all a matter of priorities. Yeah, that's the gunnerer, and that's the sundial with a lamp. Yeah, those projects went very well last year, but that of course was because I had help, and you know, rather than just staying on top of things, we're actually made with progress. Ah yes, I decided to actually change the battery in that garden clock and set it to the correct time. That was easily done. And yeah, put the peanuts back in the proper place for the moment. And yeah, looking at the rain radar, looks like it's going to be dry for a while. And yeah, a conversation or two with one or two people. And yeah, what are we doing now? Looks like June's rustling up stuff. Oh yes, yeah, June's was going to do the cooking early, and I thought, oh well, Val had rung her earlier, so I thought, I'll pop in there just to explain why June wasn't able to make it. I saw Raj, of course, and Romeo, my favourite doggy, and after a few minutes there, which was really just to, you know, check things with them, and then I thought, I'll pop across to the Comrades Club just for a few minutes. But no, in fact I didn't go in there. I went into the Sorrentina and yeah, let June know what I was doing, which is to pick up some takeaway. And they of course reminded me, well, you want to come over and make up the necessary numbers for a game of snooker later. And of course I'd love the time watching them, and it's so many years since I played snooker, and so I did. But anyhow, I popped in the Comrades Club briefly first of all, and lovely guy there actually gave me the thing I'd left on the notice board, which apparently wasn't allowed according to their rules, but I suspect is they didn't see what the contents was, including that guy who's actually in the picture. But yeah, it was obviously relevant of Dave Dean, because there's half a dozen pictures of Dave Dean in there, and of course all those guys were made very famous by the Golfing World magazine that I took the pictures from. I don't know how many guys actually got a copy of that. Anyhow, get back. So I'm able to get my share of food that June's eaten and take it into the lounge and into the naughty corner, where I can relax and eat that and listen to the radio, but it's mostly to synchronise my watch. Get it within a second or two, as opposed to several seconds slow. Yeah, a bit of a weirdo on things like that. Yeah, check the tracker. Anybody could say, yeah, where's Robin? Oh, go to the contact page, click on that black pendant tracker. Yeah. Oh, looks as though he went into La Sorrentina after going in there. Well, there you go. And then he went into the Comrades Club. Well, it just shows you, doesn't it? Wonder what he was up to. Get a rough idea by how long he was there. Yeah, so that's back here. And yeah, so June's coming to the lounge now watching the television. I'm doing the closed circuit TV checks for the previous night. Yeah, there's the fox. This is probably after midnight, first of all. Fox coming for the peanuts on the front porch, because they've been practically all eaten earlier on the patio, well, the top bridge, the patio. And yeah, that was when it got light on the camera's switch to colour. So I'm probably checking now before midnight. And here's the fox. This is late. And the badger is the one who's woofing down most of the peanuts. So as you go back in time, yeah, that's the badger caught on a different camera, the so-called patio camera, I think. And yeah, it switched from colour to black and white at 16:46 roughly. Yeah, June's still watching that. Angel, I think it's called, and playing video games at the same time. All very boring, so I can afford to take my walk down. But I've got to make sure I take a snooker cue with me, and it's years since I even opened that cupboard, I think. Very dusty, loads of cobwebs on it. And yeah, that cue I picked up first, didn't even have a tip on it. And then by coincidence, Jack, that was my father-in-law's cue, Jack Ponsford. Very blurry picture there, which was on that handout that I put on the notice board. And so, yeah, I'm off to the Comrades Club armed with the snooker cue, and it's many years since I've done that. Even though I started playing snooker probably about 79 or so. Yeah, so into the Comrades Club. Yes, force myself to have a glass of wine. And yeah, I make a point of taking pictures of the minutes, because they said the chairman and the committee members were there. I saw 3 of them. That was a nice picture. And yeah, enjoyed my glass of wine. I even bought a raffle ticket while I was waiting. Didn't win this time, but I wouldn't have had such a long wait. But the guys you see here now, they were delayed by other guys eating, and if they'd come too early, the raffle was still on. So yes, enjoyable time playing snooker. Yeah, let June know that I was going to be late getting back, because they came late, and we had an enjoyable game and conversations, and make my way back home. And yeah, so where are we? Yeah, coming into the house. So of course, I do have to do a bit of tidying up when I get in terms of shutting stuff down and seeing if there's any emails that are relatively urgent for a reply, if anything can be urgent. Yes, the pussycat decides to join me, so I shut down that PC that's in the study. Then he decides to attack the armed mice spares that are in the lounge. And yes, and of course there's the risk of him walking on the keyboard as well. Anyway, I checked the tracker. Yeah, anybody who was checking would have said, there was Robin, that's where he went to the Comrades Club again. And got back here okay. Yeah, and time to go up. So that's the end of that photo trail. Monday the 6th of November 2023, 12-minute photo trail including this 2.5-minute summary. Yes, the playing of snooker reminded me the benefits of tidying up a games room, including stuff like old photos that were tucked away. And yeah, part of the time was spent getting places to put tools, working with June, and yes, other things happening. Trip out to the range. June said, I'll probably get a better diary for next year there, so we did that. And then we spent a bit of time working on, you might call it garden engineering work. It's the sort of work I did with Paul, which made great progress last year on being in a position to move stuff out into the garden. And then of course I suddenly noticed that hand had disappeared off the bridge, and a bit of detective work tracked it down to the badger who'd accidentally pushed it under the bridge. So I got it back, put it in its normal place for the peanuts. Yes, had food and watched the closed circuit TV. Yes, there's the foxes checking for the previous night, and yeah, there's the foxes coming for the peanuts and the badger at the same time there. And yeah, did a little bit of work on the boat, which is mostly related to what happens next, to do with wiring. And yeah, Samantha had taken a video of Toadie playing with the armed mice in the lounge, and June's watching the TV, which I found rather boring. So yes, I took the snooker cue this time down to the village, and it went into one stop to pick up some cash, then into the Comrades Club. Yes, enjoyed a glass of wine and checked out the snooker room. And I'd forgotten those 3 full-size tables, and it was probably the 1970s I last played there with Jack. So yeah, back home, Toadie relaxing of course, shut down the computer, time to go up. So that's the end of the summary. So now into the photos in the order that they were shot. Yeah, first thing in the morning. Yeah, all that stuff has got to be tidied away sometime. And then, there was a load of old photos June found, and some of them you say, yeah, rather than be tucked away there, put them somewhere more prominent. And yeah, June came out and helped me, which was basically deciding where we put things, and where necessary you have to do a bit of so-called engineering work. And so yeah, we got those put up, and working way round, yeah, glances of the garden, loads of outstanding jobs which haven't been done. Looks like, yeah, putting things back in the right place, which at the moment is where one can find them. And yeah, back in the kitchen, and yeah, the drawings for the mirrors, we thought we'd take those with us in case we see any solution. And yeah, one of the trackers there's the other tracker type that's going in the boat, in fact the actual one going in the boat, satcoms. So we're on air trip, and June has suggested the range might be a good place to visit. We might find a better version of next year's diary, which we didn't find in the usual places. No, first of all we went into the bank, or what serves as the bank, Barclays, and then we went into Bracknell to the range. And yeah, so yeah, it was a rainbow there, June pointed out. So then into the range, got the diary and a load of screws, and went into Wickes and got some wood. And this is all to do with putting up some more battens of wood. But he said, yes, we don't have to have the seat down or the bottom up. The wood goes quite easily into the car just by poking it through the window. Didn't know that until we did it, or had forgotten we'd done it before. Back through Ascot, and making our way home through South Ascot. Yes, the Swinley pub. And yeah, June's driving because Robin still doesn't have his driving licence from the DVLA. We're still waiting. And yeah, there's the tools, and going up more prominently. And yeah, hammers next. So gradually moving stuff out from the games room. June found that light and it needed to be charged up, and I decided to be doing a bit of creosoting of the, yeah, there's the creosoting of the wood that's just been put up, so that'll be ready to hang stuff on. Put the creosote back where it's normally kept, and of course those places in the garden are much easier for anybody to find. It's all visible and they don't have to be locked away. Well, we risk them being stolen, but I think the bigger risk is from the animals stealing them, quite frankly. Yeah, and yeah, June's just had a call, and yeah, that's on charge. June noticed that it was a USB charger lamp, and time to put the peanuts out. But where's that arm gone that was there? Yeah, sorry, we do have human body parts decorating the garden occasionally. And so anyhow, I carried on putting the peanuts out, and there's a few snaps there of the garden and features in the garden. Looking up, put the peanuts out on the road as well as the front porch, and make my way back into the house. Yeah, and yeah, so the question is, how did that happen? Now, my first guess, which turned out to be wrong, was the foxes might have taken it, but I looked on the closed circuit TV and it was fairly simple to do some checks. I found that the quality wasn't so good to pick up, but yes, it was clearly gone at that time, and yeah, it's not there at the moment. So we just work through, and then we find when it actually moved, and it was the badger. And when the badger was there's the badger. He nudged it, probably by accident, off the edge while he was after the peanuts at 23:19 late that night. So we saw you, and he pushed it underneath at 2321, and he said, "Oh, what's that?" So I knew it was under the bridge, and I hadn't seen it before. Went out there with the torch, and there it was. So I managed to recover it, put it back where it belongs, and put the torch where that belongs, in the hall. So that was job well done. And there's me on the closed circuit TV doing the check-in and everything. So that worked well. And June's rustling up dinner, and of course there's the tennis on, and there's the unit on charge, the lamp that belongs in the workshop, the plastic workshop in the garden. And I'm doing a few checks related to the boat and things, and checking email, and yeah, reminder about the kitchen microwave. Yeah, I had to warm up the dinner because I'd been busy doing other things. And yeah, so into the lounge, and I go into the naughty corner. Samantha's off to tennis, and so I'm sitting down enjoying my dinner in the naughty corner. June is relaxing, watching the tennis and playing video games and being comforted by Toadie. And I have some of the pudding, if you like, the dolce from the day before. And there's the foxes doing the closed circuit TV checks, seeing the previous night, both after night and up until that was 6:45 in the morning when the camera switched. There's a little robin, and also before midnight, and there's the fox at the porch again. And their first preference seems to be on the back. Oh, there's me getting back from the Comrades Club, and I disturbed. There's the badger. So yeah, there's the badger and the fox at the same time pretty well. And you can see by how many peanuts are there, that was, as I'm working back, it's back to 1654 when the cameras switched from colour in the day to night mode. Had a look at the boat, really not much more than just double checking that rubber seal and getting the right wire from various things that will be used for the next job, and which is running the power wire through to the switches to a suitable place. So I didn't spend more than a few minutes, but I've got the materials, got the right wire, which is basically silvered flex, and yeah, there's a soldering iron. So that's a job to be done when there's time. Put the tools back there, and that goes in the solar box because I choose some of the wire that was already on a solar panel. So that's a job queued to be done, a bit more of, probably the next day if I'm lucky. And yes, Toadie's playing around with the armed mice, and Samantha took a video of him. And yeah, June's watching that. I'm putting things back, getting bored with what she had on the telly, so time to take a walk down. I take my snooker cue just in case, and in fact that worked out well worth doing, because I got a chance to visit the actual snooker room with 3 tables on it that I haven't been since the 70s. But I went to the one stop first, got a bit of cash, getting low on that, and then back into the Comrades Club and enjoyed a glass of wine and saw what they were watching at the time on the telly, which is football. Went into the room with 3 large size tables, normal size, and I'd forgotten that ours is a half size. And also found out that what I had been playing the day or two earlier was on a quarter size table and playing pool, not the same as what I was used to, billiards or snooker. Anyhow, back home, and June's still watching TV with the cat. I shut down the PC, and time for bed, and that's the end of the photo trail. Tuesday the 7th of November 2023, over 16 minutes of photos, including this 3-minute summary at the start. Yeah, the usual mixture of things, including June getting back from tennis, and Toadie hanging around, and glimpse of the kitchen, and what was going on was opening of Parliament, with King Charles and Queen Camilla. And yeah, glance of the robot boatwork and what inspired me, which is the Comrade snooker room, to get our games room into a decent state, and teamed up with June in working our way in getting places in the garden for putting the tools and materials. And of course Bentley on charge duty. And now to go out we thought we'd use the big car to pick up materials, plastic sheeting for a roof, but couldn't start that, so we used June's car. We thought June found smaller sheeting that would go in the car. It just had to be bolted together, and that was her bright idea. So yes, she wanted to get some weights. Yeah, what was that, 18 kilograms? Yeah, not very heavy at all. And then we got a poppy there. That was lovely, that conversation. And then we went into Wickes and got some bolts, nuts and bolts for that roof job. Yes, there's Toadie annoying us by playing with the arm mice. And took the food into the naughty corner. Yes, I also printed out the ONS graph of total deaths, useful not just for COVID. Put out the peanuts, and there's the materials. Worked out what I'd be doing, but I needed the right size drill, so that could be done as soon as possible, not that day. So yeah, looking at the foxes coming for the peanuts and the badger. And what was funny was the badger taken priority for the peanuts over the fox. That was rather boring, which is June's usual stuff. So time for Robin to take a trip down to the Comrades Club and enjoy a glass of wine, and also check out the snooker room, where I hadn't played since the 70s with Jack, but looked at it in a bit more detail. So then made my way back home and into the house and shut down the PC, I expect. Yeah, June's still there. The cat is relaxing now in the kitchen. So that's the end of the summary. So now into the photo trail itself. So it probably started with processing the video like this, but for the day before, for Monday the 6th. And yeah, glances of the room that we want to get into a good state, with Toadie relaxing on his windowsill position where we can get a bit of sun, and decided to play with one of the robot boats. And so look on the where anybody can to see where June's tracker is. Yes, and I say June's tracker, that's the tracker that's going in the boat, but we put it in her car for the moment. And of course that gives early warning of June arriving back. The closed circuit TV shows, so I'm able to go out as she's getting out of the car. And yeah, that's the tracker that's going into the boat. Yes, that's the website. And so June's got back, and what are we doing now? Yeah, I'm probably just checking the tracker, because what I liked about that is that yeah, it's back home, you see, at the right position, but most importantly, even though it had a low battery, it was still tracking. So one of the tests involved, rather than just changing the batteries, finding out how long it goes until the battery goes, and very important for solar power in a boat. So yes, that's the opening of Parliament with King Charles and Queen Camilla. And yes, June is, oh yes, all these things are going on in parallel, processing of videos, taking a look at the robot boat in terms of where am I going to put things, because the layout is going to be changed, and that's where the old bits were invaluable. So that's the old GPS logger. Yes, I've got my hands dirty, and the blog was useful because that is the picture of where it had been, and so you can say yes, that is a possibility, but that servo arm is a bit uncomfortably close to it. So answer is probably put it somewhere slightly different like there. And of course it may not be that particular type of logger. So first of all is mechanically where things go. And yeah, so June's now helping me out in the garden, preparing more space. And she's, yes, put the light up that she'd recharged overnight off the USB, so when I go out in the dark there, or anybody does, we can switch a light on. And looking around, and that's the spot where we could say, and June pointed it out, rain is a bit of a problem, but we can use the same sort of plastic sheeting just there. Oh yes, June had to get some more milk, and yes, went out the front, and there's Bentley from opposite, guarding the car, I suppose he says he's doing. And yes, that's the website. It was business many decades ago, now it's charitable causes and hobbies. Yeah, glimpse of opposite, and yes, what was that about, I wonder? Oh, Terry. Yes, Robin made a silly mistake in the email, although in other places it was right. It said October for the pub grub. Yeah, stupid boy. Anyhow, so I had to send out a correction quickly. Now, in the process of tidying stuff up, yeah, that's put in the voice commentary, like doing this, and that process was done. So jumping backwards and forwards between different things. Oh yes, emails, checking those. And then we're looking for the materials, and the websites didn't say whether they had it in stock. So we decided, after June got back from other things, we take the large car, because it was a long sheet of plastic. In the end we solved it, and so we did the usual things, which is to work out how we plug in the, or clip on the battery charger, not battery charger, the car starter, which goes across the battery. But when I came to turn the key, I couldn't, it wouldn't mechanically turn, so we hadn't worked it out between us. But Gary was coming the next day, so yeah, we'll have to manage without. So leave the car exactly as it was. Hopefully we'll sort it. We noticed the light wasn't very bright in there, but June managed to find a bulb that was brighter. Saw a rainbow. June pointed the rainbow out and took a picture of it, but I think I took a better picture there, because you could see Richard's house, Richard and Bay's house. So yeah, what are we doing now? Looks as though, yes, so we're closing the garage door, and yeah, we were thought, well, the best we could do is probably just see whether the stuff is in stock. Spoke to Gary to tip him off that when he came round for one of the other cars, he might take a look at that. And so first of all we go to B&Q, and June had the bright idea, 2 sheets and bolt them together. Well, I might have had the bright idea of 2 sheets, but she said, just use nuts and bolts. But she wanted to go there anyhow, into Decathlon, to get some weights. Yeah, no problem lifting those. 18 kilos? Or is that 16 kilos? Oh, it's only a couple of kilo difference. So, quite heavy and interesting to carry back. And yeah, that was an enjoyable conversation, getting the poppy. And they didn't recognise the reg, but the system was perfect. Well, perfect is the wrong word. Still let us out, and the key thing is it was only 50p for the parking. So yeah, into Wicks, because we're now looking for nuts and bolts, but instead of those, which I think are steel, brass ones. And we went to Screwfix, went to Tool Station, and it's probably the marketplace has changed, all based on the cost of the materials. Steel is probably cheaper than brass. So got the materials back home. Yeah, and it's going to be easy to line them up by just standing them on the flat floor. And yes, toadies decide to annoy us by playing with the armed mice that are spares that are in the lounge. So slight distraction for taking pictures of Toadie. And so yes, he's guarding the lounge, I suppose you'd say that is. That's just looking at, that's where we went today. Then yeah, let's see what the tracker says. So anybody interested goes to the contact page, tap on the little picture of it, yes, go into a map, you can go into more detail, and yes, that's where we are, just here. So then I go into the website, which enables me to look historically at previous tracks in detail, so where I've walked or been carried by a car, and it shows where we went. And yeah, so that was all working well. So anybody who had a need would say, right, could be all sorts of use for us. That was a bit of we'll see what happens in terms of who we see today. Yeah, so I've managed to fix the tape measure that I'd got there. Juna rustled up dinner, so gave her tape measure back, that was hers, took it into the lounge, my food, and sat in Robin's naughty corner so I could enjoy the food, and also had a slight distraction there, which was the COVID page update. So I did that and put the print out as it's kept with the others in the lounge. And yeah, also putting the peanuts out. On the top bridge, noticed that the arm was missing, but it only just moved a yard or two, probably something had moved it, put it back in its usual place. Peanuts down the bottom, switched the camera to flash there. The low light was coming out too blurred. And yeah, so back into the games room and through the house, out, peanuts out on the road as well as the porch, back inside. Yes, that's on guard duty. Put the peanuts back where they're kept at the moment, which is in the games room. Peeled the plastic off, that's the product, and obviously it needs to be drilled. And so yes, follow June's instructions, that is plastic into general waste. So now we've got the 2 sheets of plastic, same but, oh yes, a couple of clothes pegs borrowed from June will clip the plastic together with the right overlap to give right overall length. And only thing is, I need to get the right size drill for the bolts, but that can wait until tomorrow or when there's a chance to do it. So yeah, June's now watching the television and I'm doing the overnight CCTV check. So yeah, there's the fox coming for the peanuts. There is a fox coming for the peanuts on the front porch. And this is doing the check from midnight through, and there's the badger, and that badger is clearly the top dog, because I saw at one point the badger basically bullied the fox out of the way. There's no actual violence between them, but that's the way it works. Yeah, so the fox, at least he could have the peanuts that were left on the front porch. And yeah, 6:47 was when the camera switched to colour. Yeah, there was for the daylight mode. And yeah, that was the other one. So yeah, boring. I think it's Angel she's watching. So I decided to take a walk. Yes, that's for amusement on the front porch. So off from Airplace, down the road towards the village, into the Comrades Club, forced myself to have a glass of wine and go into enjoy what was going on around me, but also visit the snooker room where I haven't played since the 70s with Jack, and took a look at a bit more closely, and then made my way back home, and yeah, to the front porch. In June's still watching the television, so I go in to the study, shut down the computer there, yeah, back, and basically into the kitchen. So yes, time for bed there, and Tony's decided to sleep there tonight. So that's the end of the photo trail. Wednesday the 8th of November 2023, 16 minutes of photo trail, including this 3-minute selection as a summary at the beginning. So lots of things going on. The most significant thing was probably realising, we put a roof there, get even more space for putting all things like tools, materials and things in the garden, because the big picture is we've wanted for ages to clear stuff out. Yes, also recording the video similar to that, and a pub lunch with grumpy old men. Yes, nice food. And Stuart kindly drove, and Gary, by the time we got back, was there working on 3 cars. No, not 3 cars, 3 vehicles. Yes, that's the tracker saying that we went to the Red Lion. And yes, having a coffee and biscuits and chat. And meanwhile, Gary's working. Occasionally I'd have to pop out, and there June's got him to do the work there. Oh yes, that was a little joke, which was not a joke. It's mechanics actually. Yes, and when the guys leave, had a few words with Gary. Still working there. He stayed till quite late. That car, that's all working now brilliantly. And yes, he had this bright idea, which was it turned out to be an air pump. So it was a good idea, but for that particular drain, no, it's something else needed. So putting out the peanuts on the top bridge, just outside the patio door, and the bottom bridge, and the front porch. Yeah, put the peanuts back where we've been keeping them. June's rustling up dinner. I found the right size drill for bolting the 2 sheets of transparent plastic together. That was June's clever idea. And yeah, so eat my food in the naughty corner while looking at the CCTV, checking the night's video from the cameras, including foxes. And meanwhile I also had an installation going on the my phone. Fingers crossed that it will make it better rather than worse. Yes, she's watching what I considered to be boring, so I decided to stretch my legs down for a walk down to the village and the Comrades Club. Poppy's up because that special weekend Remembrance Day. Yes, very difficult to keep up with speed. There's some pictures and videos I found on the phone from other stuff. Yes, this is a summary, so it's quite difficult to keep up with everything, but the full photo trail, I should get a chance to say what's necessary. Yeah, so there's a fox live outside the window. I go in, shut down the study PC, and back. Toadie's decided to join June, and generally making a nuisance of himself. And yeah, I have a quick look on the Chromebook. Yeah, anybody could see that's where Robin was in the Comrades Club. And time to go up, and that's the end of the summary. So now into the full photo trail, which includes those and a few more. So that was the plan, to go to the Red Lion. That was the important event, I suppose, of the week. Make a phone call to book the table. And yeah, there's the games room where Samantha's working from home, and this is the major exercise. And yes, there's the robot boat there, but that is an important step, which is that sheet of plastic provides a roof when it's put in, and it shouldn't be a difficult job to do, just in that spot, which means we've got more possibilities of what we hang up there. Yes, I got a little bit damp, there was a shower of rain coming through. And yeah, we've already got lots of space we created, mostly with the help of Paul last year. And it's a matter of now moving the stuff, but that's the sheet, that's the next job, priority job, even though it's straightforward, because then after that's done, we then start moving the stuff and putting it there. And yeah, so a few glimpses of important places. Yes, a bit more processing in progress on the video from the previous day. It says that's done, so now put in the voice commentary on it, the same sort of thing as I'm doing right now. And yeah, that seems okay. So yeah, glimpse of the kitchen. Hope to get those mirrors to put in the skylight soon. And yeah, phone call. Yeah, it was Terry. And yeah, all sorts of things. I think the contact number I had in there wasn't the phone he normally uses, and that's the sort of problem I had. I thought that was all on the SIM card. Anyhow, that's the lads arriving, and Stuart has kindly insisted on driving rather than June giving us a lift. So we're on their way to Lightwater and to the Red Lion. Yeah, there's a shower of rain, but we were quite lucky that it paused when we went in. The table was ready for us, took our orders, and John was able to join us, which was good. And yeah, food, so a glimpse of what each person has had. That's what I had, and my normal. So that gives you a flavour of what, yes, not taste division this, but it gives you an idea of what they chose to eat. And there's a glimpse of it, and I like that sign. Please do not climb on railings. That's intended for pensioners rather than just children, although there may not be much difference in some cases. Right, on our way back home and over the Berkshire boundary, notice the state of the potholes. We get back, and by then Gary's there doing work on the cars. I keep saying cars. One of them is a camper. It's 2 cars and a camper. So there's the camper, and the main thing is the water leak, and he fixed that. And yeah, underneath, yes, while you see it, there's the battle damage, and it asked me to have a look underneath when I was doing it. I checked the rain radar. Yeah, it says it'll be dry for an hour. I took the coffee through to the lads, and Toadie's decided to have his lunch break as well. The tracker, so check the tracker. Yes, only takes a moment, but anybody could see, yes, looks like Robin's at the Red Lion, and the amount of time he's doing there, guess what he's doing? And now they asked me to have a look underneath. Well, he did things, and sure enough, when they put the water on, there wasn't a leak. So I'm able to go back and join the lads again, having biscuits as well now, and have my coffee. In fact, I only got a chance to have half of it, I think, because of interruptions. Yeah, so I'm in and out. And Gary points out the problem that Samantha had, and of course he's got all the right gear, was simply the leakage around the edge. So he sorted that. And yeah, oh, that's right. Richard claimed that cotton reel would not roll down, and yes, that's lots of things going on backwards and forwards in parallel. And so yeah, let's have a chance to chat. And that car's all working perfectly now. Starts up. Yeah, I mean, we knew the battery was flat, but the other problem seems to have disappeared as well. And then Gary has this bright idea, and I didn't know it was air rather than water that was being pumped through. If I'd known, I'd have said, no, we've got to move that mud. The method we have used before is to scoop out as much as possible and then effectively wash out the mud, because it's mud or silt or whatever you call it. As you know, over the period of whatever it is, a year or so, it washes down the drive and blocks it up. Anyhow, the main thing is the cars are working well. So, right, Gary's able to go now, and yeah, back, what's next? So, yeah, you can see it's getting darker later, and yes, looking at that, putting the peanuts down, yeah, and so including down the garden, and yeah, the lights come on quite well. The camera doesn't pick up the pictures, so I switched to flash, and yeah, so there's the peanuts down on the bottom bridge, working my way back, and the spot where that plastic sheet is going to go, so that then we've got another wall that almost anything can be hung on, and of course shelves as well. So a matter of doing things in the right order. So that's the plastic sheet, and got the right size drill now, I think, so that I can bolt the two sheets together. So we've got one sheet the right length, and yeah, that's the front porch. Yes, all a bit blurred. So peanuts out on the road as well, and back. And June's point, oh yes, we wonder what that was she was trying to, it was something she bought for Toady to lie on near the radiator ages ago, but he's got other places he prefers now, including the forts that I made him out the front, so he can watch for things arriving to attack if necessary. June's decided to have the meatballs with paste. Oh yes, that's the thing which I able to check, and yes, so emails and things, yes, Toady decided to join me, and yeah, generally make a nuisance of himself. Oh yes, that was a reply to Chris, and I pointed out there was a link there. Gary gave me the first two robot boats when we were prototyping, and there's a nice video showing the early years, and so the email had the links to, for example, Gary's website, and yeah, that looked good. And yes, so the food's ready by the look of it. Yes, got the right size drill, and I found the drills in the tools that Paul, that was last year, had put a sticky label saying that. So I was able to make a bit of progress using the tape measure, close peg, to hold them in the right place, so the overall length was about right according to the notes I'd written when we were looking for one long length, and then drill the holes so the nuts and bolts would go in. And yeah, so we can easily add more if necessary, but that'll do the job nicely. So that's ready to go out there, and yeah, time to take my dinner through into the naughty corner in the lounge and enjoy that. Oh, I did have to go back. I suddenly realised that it needed warming up because of all the interruptions, and also I saw I'd left half a cup of coffee from lunchtime, so I gave that a boost and came back, so I had half a cup of coffee. And there's two foxes at the same time. Now this is playing the closed circuit TV video from midnight forward up until it gets light, and I can see, yes, 0702 roughly, the camera's switched to colour mode. Yes, then that phone, I have problems with that, and I was, yeah, a bit annoying, but anyway, we made progress on that. Yeah, so now I'll probably check in the closed circuit video back from midnight. 16:42 is when the camera switched. Meanwhile, the phone was decided to do an installation update, and I reckon it overheard what I've been saying about it. And it's got the version there, so I've got a record of that. I wrote that down as well. And the good thing is I didn't get duplicated contacts, which I had, or even triplicated. So yeah, progress. And there were some other things that were better as well in terms of the logic handling finger touches. So June's watching what I considered to be boring, so I thought, yes, I can afford to get a bit of exercise and stretch my legs. Yes, there's the things in the porch, and have a walk down the road. Yes, you'll see the poppies up because that's coming up at the weekend. You've got Armistice Day on the Saturday and Remembrance Sunday. So yeah, I still don't get the Wi-Fi in the Comrades Club. That's easily checked with. I did have it before. Found other things on the phone, like that lovely old picture that Sally sent. And it turns out that when somebody sends me WhatsApp pictures, they get stored in the memory of the phone rather than a link. You can see how a phone will get full up. Anyhow, yeah, walk back home, and yes, Poppy's there, ready for the weekend, and back down the front drive into the house. June's still got that on the telly, and so, oh yes, that's live, I think, that fox. Yes, he's just outside the patio door. So go into the lounge, shut down the PC in the lounge. Yes, Toadie's decided to join June. Suppose he's asking for a bit of affection or something. And hello, Toadie. So, yeah, I have a quick look on the Chromebook. Yes, the tracker works. Some people know where I've been, down at the Comrades Club. And, yeah, so time for bed, and that's the end of the photo trail. Thursday, the 9th of November 2023, about a minute or so summary of what is about 7.5 minute video, which is just a stream of photos for that day. So yeah, June's off to do a bit of shopping, and yes, I can check where she is on the tracker, which is useful. Knows if there's any problems, but also gets an idea that when she's coming back. Yeah, and so she gets back. We've got a call from Paul. That was nice. And Paul did a load of good work over here last year. Yeah, looking at the rain, catch the picture of the rainbow. We know we're going to get a gap, and yeah, do that work of putting that plastic sheeting up. A lot of it with bright ideas from June, and that means we could put more tools up in the open. And she said it was a bit too cold, so that was enough work there, and there would have been rain coming in. So that was pretty well it. So that's the summary, and we'll be rolling in. Yes, 4 o'clock is when this video for that day changes. So now into the photos themselves, starting with Toadie and Samantha working from home in the room that we want to better clear that stuff out, but first put it in the right place, and then we can throw away the extra bits we don't need. And the key to it was that sheet of plastic, and that was the main work we did today, was to put that up. And yes, there's a few other things there, like the robot boat. That's going to have to wait while we do higher priority things, but when I've got a few brass screws, then I'll be able to progress that, which was the wiring. Other photo trails show progress on that. So then out in the garden, because I'm basically taking that plastic sheet down, 2 sheets bolted together to get the right length, and so taking it down end of the garden, because this photo trail enables anybody who's going to help with any of this sort of stuff to know what the layout is. So that's where it's going to go. It's going to go up there to give a bit of shelter for anything hanging on that wall. Yeah, Toadie watching things from the window. Hello, Toadie. And yes, so looks like that's June off for doing the shopping. Got a black bit there, I don't know what happened there. Yeah, that's the website, and yeah, that's the tracker, the Spot Satcoms tracker that's going in the boat, and there's a spare one there as well. So we're checking them out in the car, and when the boat's ready, one of them will go into the car. So June's off to do the shopping, and so what's going on here? Yes, Toadie guarding the premises, and yeah, I've got that on the screen, so I can glance at that any time and say, oh, okay, she's on her way back, or she's got held up doing something else. And yeah, chance to have a look. There's the kitchen, and we want to put mirrors up inside those skylights. That's my study, and I've got processing going on for the day before, and doing the same sort of thing as I'm doing here, putting a commentary on that. And yeah, there's old Toady making a nuisance of himself with Samantha. Anybody interested in where that tracker is, just goes to the contact page and taps or clicks on it, and there you go. And that shows now that June's on her way back. It works quite well, even though it's maybe in her handbag. And so that means it's updating itself. She's practically home, so she'll be arriving soon. So look across on the closed circuit TV, and within a minute or so, yes, she comes down the drive, so I can go out to greet her and give her a hand bringing the shopping in. Yes, there's the website. Just hobbies and charity these days. Was business decades ago. Yes, sorry about that. That's one of the bits of amusement in the porch. And there's Toady watching in case there's any tools worth pinching from the gardeners who come across the road. And yeah, so basically June's sorted out getting the shopping put away in the right places. Yes, the tracker shows there we are back here at home, and the Satcom tracker, anybody can see where that's been just by tapping on the Snoopy page, and that's working well even though the battery's low. And that's one of the tests I've been doing. Rather than change the battery, just see how long it goes with a low battery. So that's the room we want to clear. And I said already, the stage we're at is, processing of the video from the day before. The stage we're at is, this is all these things happening together. That's a call from Paul. So I had a few minutes chatting there. Yeah, there you go. And processing of that video. All these are getting strung down, and then it started belting with rain, but that was as predicted. And that site shows the rain just finishing now, stay dry, but then we get more later. And that was at 2 o'clock. I decided, right, I'll have a lunch as I walk around with my pasty. June goes out and takes a photograph of the rainbow, which I had an attempt at as well. That looks like a red kite actually going across, caught by accident. And there is Toady having his lunch. Now we're up there. It's definitely a two-person job, and June's bright idea, which was a good one, was why not just, after clearing all those old leaves, have it sat on the top. And it's easy to pop some screws in, and in slower time one could actually seal the edge. But that's a good way of doing it, rather than what I had in mind. So yeah, simple solution. Cut out there so the tree doesn't obstruct it. So that's in place. Then just pop a few bits of polystyrene in the gap between the rough hole I made. Put the tools back, and in fact there's a few tools we can actually say can be brought in, start the process. But yeah, great. We even able to move those planes there, which June said, they might get wet and rusty. So that was job well done. But then June said, it's getting a bit cold, don't really want to carry on spending any more time out here, even if we had another half hour or so before any rain. So she goes in. I check again on the rain radar and say, is it worth doing any more? I came to the conclusion, no, it's not really, apart from going out and making sure, got one or two pictures to finish this photo trail, because that pretty well is the end of the photo trail, though it's not, of course, the end of the day. Only 4 o'clock. I warned you they would be long photo trails, so we're going to run into that material that was shot earlier on the subject of global warming and the DVLA, Driver Vehicle Licensing Agency, and
Ah, looks like June's on her way back. Yeah, just coming through Ascot now. So the main thing I was going to do is run into that clip shot earlier, and I think we started from about here. Now what I put on the screen, because global warming is rearing itself, it's something that's been on my grumpy page for years. The remarkable James Lovelock, who passed away on the 26th of July, his 103rd birthday. I'll read out what this says here. This has been on the grumpy page for years, not long after the publication of his book, Revenge of Gaia. We can't stop global warming, but we may delay it by a few decades to give us time to prepare for its effects. Vast areas of the world, including as close as continental Europe, becoming arid desert, shrinking of habitable areas of the planet to much smaller parts of the planet, closer to the poles. The Earth will then only be able to support a small fraction of its present population, and there will be a need for massive migration. Places like the UK will remain temperate a little longer, so be an attractive destination. We need all world governments to cooperate to prepare for this inevitability. Also to agree things like reduce use of fossil fuels to give us a few more decades to prepare. And then it goes on. The above is not a quote, but how I remember what James Lovelock said in his book, The Revenge of Gaia, etc. That's been unchanged on my site for years. And right, well, the other thing I should mention, yes, retired, happy and spending that kid's inheritance, is for some time now I've not been able to drive due to, well, several mistakes at the DVLA. And what I will say is that I have new evidence of what happened inside the DVLA, which I won't publish yet because I'm still waiting for the reply to the letter which was delivered by recorded delivery to the head of the DVLA and also other people. So I'll put in at the end of this long video the video that's gone up, me talking about the DVLA, and basically in summary it says I don't want anybody to get into trouble, and that is definitely the case, and resigning is too easy. Problems need to be fixed. But quite honestly, that is a minor thing compared with all the other things that are going on in the world, not least wars, and of course what's in the background and very important is global warming. So let's run into that. Back in 2012.
Seen the launch of a transatlantic sailing attempt this morning in a model boat. Retired NATO scientist Robin Lovelock launched his Snoop loop from Barton-on-Sea towards the Bahamas. It's already been tested over 5,000 miles on a lake in Berkshire. The model will be steered and tracked through a satellite system and by Snoopy, of course, and it should make the crossing in 6 months, if it survives, that is.
The most important thing of the lot, of course, is Snoopy the Viking, the skipper. I don't think he'd make it otherwise. We've also got another bit and piece here. This is a GPS logger that logs the position every 15 minutes. That was back in 2012. The guy that put this material together, including the live broadcast and what went up on the BBC website, is Ben Moore.
I just worry for Snoopy. Sport now and Hampshire.
Right, on to the next topic. Right. Now, I'm going to do this all in one take. All unrehearsed and unscripted, so sorry about that. What I'd like to happen, if anybody picks up on the DVLA story, is, as I say, nobody getting into trouble, and that's a genuine request, but when they find flaws in procedures where they don't cover certain things, be good if those are fixed. What I think would be useful for anybody looking at the DVLA and perhaps helping them is, first of all, their organisation chart, showing the structure. Yes, it's well known who the head of the DVLA, remarkable woman, looking at her CV. And relevant to this story is the head of the health part. But it would be very useful to see, even if names aren't attached, obviously the names can be attached where they're public already, is how many people in each branch, how many people are reporting to how many. So a simple tree would help. I suggest that first of all. Then, perhaps even more important, is how many people working for the DVLA, even if you don't identify the individuals, are salaried by the DVLA excuse me, directly, as opposed to contracted through an agency or a business. That is very important, and we've seen what's been happening in places like the NHS for years. So that comes into the equation in terms of whether money is well spent, and of course the DVLA collects a lot of money, and there are probably other things as well, but as a starting point, I'd hope anybody that responds to this, I can't afford to get overloaded, we've got other things to do, many other things to do, and we'll be taking a holiday, that'll be public, yes. I'm tracked everywhere by different things, and in fact, if anybody's paranoid about it, anybody who's tracking somebody or looking at somebody's probably seen already. But at the end of the day, there's me wittering on, which is one of my main weaknesses since I was a little child. That's why if you put things up, clearly be careful what you put up, and often it can do some good. I'm now in the kitchen, and June's rustling up some food in the microwave for Samantha. The microwave was invented by James Lovelock, if you didn't know. And here's Samantha, and of course there's tennis on the television, just for a change. So, oh yes, point out, holidays in we're going off to Sicily again soon. And into the hall. Yes, nice expensive paintings here. Yep, expensive little pocket camera. Not expensive. And through into the lounge and out to wrap up this video by saying, look after yourselves, stay safe, and enjoy what days we have.